Madam City Manager, Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Sure. Good evening. Mr. Rickerman? Mr. McDowell? Yes. Mr. Duval?
Present.
Ms. Devine? Mr. Davis? Mayor Benjamin?
Here. Welcome all of you to City Hall tonight. Reverend McDowell, would you be kind enough to open us with the invocation?
Let us pray. Lord, for all that you've done for us for this day and the beauty that we've experienced, touch and guide us now as we discuss the business of this our city. Touch and ignite us for greater service, greater participation. And Lord, even as we pray tonight, we would ask that you might remember those brothers and sisters in Houston who are still laboring under Hurricane Harvey. We also pray that you might guide the winds of Irma, guide them in such a way that it blows itself out. We ask it in your name, amen.
Madam City Manager, I guess if you want to join us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Is there a motion to adopt the agenda as amended?
So move.
Mayor Benjamin, would you add
Well,
the
add
one
this-
item for our consent agenda, sir? I can read it for you if you would like.
Add resolution R-2017-089 authorizing Eau Claire Unity Festival, consumption of beer and wine only at Hyatt Park and Eau Claire Town Hall on September 9th, 2017. With that amendment, is there a motion?
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, we'll move to the previous question. Clerk, call the roll.
Mr. Rickerman? Mr. McDowell?
Yes.
Mr. Duval?
Aye.
Ms. Devine? Mr. Davis? Mayor Benjamin?
Aye.
Mayor Benjamin, at this time, we would ask for any public input related to these agenda items as outlined. Seeing none, we would ask council to approve the May 9th, 2017 and June 20th, 2017 city council minutes.
Is there a motion?
So move.
Is there a second? Any discussion? Seeing none, we'll move to the previous question. Clerk, call the roll.
Mr. Rickerman? Mr. McDowell?
Yes.
Mr. Duval?
Aye.
Ms. Devine? Mr. Davis?
Aye.
Mayor Benjamin?
Aye.
Council is asked to approve the consent agenda items 8 through 32 and the additional consent agenda item as added.
Is there a motion?
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Mr. Rickenman. It's your microphone, Daniel.
Could we have staff just give us a briefing? A lot of the public, I had several people call me because item 26 is such a large amount. And it is part of our consent decree, but just so they could give a briefing what's going on and what that money's going towards, just so that we, they
sir.
can hear from
I'll-
us.
And it is also an action-packed consent agenda, so I would encourage those of you, although this item, with the exception of item 26, might move pretty quickly, I would encourage people to take a look at the agenda and see the significant investments, not just made in infrastructure, but in public safety and other items with this pending vote. Please.
Sure.
Thank you. We have Joey Jaco, our Director of Utilities, and Mr. Clint Shealy, our Assistant City Manager over Columbia Water. And I know that Joey and Clint will touch upon the longstanding relationship we've had with the consultant and why that is the way it is and what year it is for the consultant.
Right. This is a renewal of a 10-year contract with CDM Smith. As a part of the contract, it is a large amount, and it's basically the program that shepherds us through the consent decree. As a part of this amount, every year we've been at or above. The first year we were a few percent above 20% for subs. but since then, we've been above 25% for subs. So we've tried to maintain or exceed what we said from the beginning is we would be at least 25% sub-consultants on the project. But and the subs really, with CDM and the subs, there's, we got project managers, we've got a whole crew that is basically making sure that all the requirements of the CD are met, but also as a part of that, we're improving how we do business. So that's really where this has really benefited the city is we're not just meeting what's required of the consent decree, but we're improving how we do things. So,
Could you just maybe give just a minute summary of where we are in the consent decree?
Sure.
Thank you.
The consent decree it really begins with setting up programs to make sure that we're doing business as we should. So where we are with the consent decree right now is the majority of these programs have been set up. As one of the programs is how we measure the condition of our system. And that program has been approved by EPA. We are doing that now, and as a result of that, we will roll out with a number of projects on rehabbing our system, basically. So we're at the very beginning of that. If we stay on track with the schedule, we're probably looking at 2027. If we stay on track with the schedule, that's a ballpark year that we will be beginning our negotiation to get out of the consent. So, we called it the program, Clean Water 2020 program. That was really, in 2020, we're going to be really engaged in doing the programs or implementing the programs that we build. But the reality of it is, following the schedule and doing everything that we need to do, we're probably looking at 2027 as a ballpark, but it could be 2030, could be 2025. Just depends on the number of projects we build, rehab projects that we build, and our time to complete those projects. So we're not quite at the midpoint, but we're pretty close as far as schedule of completing everything that's required of us. But as we move forward, we'll see this figure go down because we're building ourselves to be able to do everything we need to do. I say the City of Columbia is building staff to do the things that we're required to do by the consent decree. So that number will go down, but we're really also building within this, we're building ways that we're improving ourselves. This year we're implementing, we've done a real good job of asset management for our wastewater system. We're rolling that over to our water system as a part of this year. You'll see that as part of the contract. So we're building that beginning this year. We talked about that with the water quality problems, mapping, asset management, all that. We've done it on the wastewater side. We're rolling over the water side. That's why I say we're really improving how we do things. We're using this to do that. So we're building the programs on the wastewater side, but we're taking advantage of it on the water side as well. So.
Thank you for that. I had several people want to hear from it, and I think, we've made such strides here, and it's very important that we let the public know where these dollars are spent and the progress that we've made in this process. So thank you for taking the time to come up.
Thank y'all.
Thanks.
I think we had a motion and a second.
Yes, sir.
Move the previous question. Clerk, call roll.
Mr. Rickman.
Aye.
Mr. McDowell.
Yes.
Mr. Duval.
Aye.
Mr. Vine. Mr. Davis.
Aye.
Mayor Benjamin.
Aye.
Mr. Mayor, moving into a period of presentations, I do want to recognize our August 2017 Employee of the Month. Ms. Benjamin, our Director of Human Resources, was prepared to present her employee, Ms. Charlene Harvey, Human Resources Specialist. Ms. Harvey could not join us this evening, so we will make sure that she gets her token of appreciation, and we'll still give her our appreciation. Thank you. I do take great pride in recognizing our second department, our finance department. I know Ms. Jan Alonzo is here, our Director of Finance. Mr. Jeff Palin, our Assistant City Manager and Chief Financial Officer, cannot be with us this evening either. But I would ask for Jan to come forward along with Ms. Jennifer Broughton, past President of the Government Finance Officers Association of South Carolina, to to recognize our department for the Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting for the fiscal year ended June 30th, 2016. And this is becoming a regular habit, which is a wonderful thing for the last several years. Yay.
It's with great honor that I present this award. I've worked with Denny since I was 25. I won't tell you how old I am, but it's been quite a few years. So Jan and I have served on several boards together, and Jeff and I serve on several boards. You have a great staff, and they do wonderful work.
What's up with me?
Oh, and I also work for Mr. Benjamin at some point in time. And, you know, when he turns in his bills, you can pay them, but we finally got that straight, got his phone bill paid.
That's 15 years ago. Come on now.
But it's with great honor that I present the Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Finance Reporting to the City of Columbia. Something to be very proud of. Congratulations.
Awesome. You gonna say something, Jan?
Do.
Go for it.
I just want to say, because they're not here, but I have an amazing staff that makes all this possible, because it's not anything we can do by ourselves.
And again, too, a really excellent and understated staff at times. Again, for those of you who may not be paying attention to exactly what's happening right here, this is the Government Finance Officers Association, 4th year in a row, awarding our city and our city staff the Award of Excellence for financial reporting. I mean, it's a big deal, and we're very thankful for your hard work, and hopefully to all of our taxpayers and ratepayers, we know that we're taking your precious resources very seriously, and we're very proud. You gotta get a picture of this, so come on. All right. Thank you again, Madam City Manager.
Yes, sir. Item 35, the recognition of Ms. Kiara Hayes as the National Bronze Medal winner of the NAACP ACTSO Olympics. The Honorable Mayor Stephen K. Benjamin.
Where's Kiara? Where is she? Come on up front, young lady. All right. So, I asked for this to be added. The NAACP, as many of you know, is the nation's oldest and largest civil rights organization. For decades, has hosted the ACTSO Olympics, which at one time was the Afro-Academic, Cultural, Technological, and Scientific Olympics. To be able to do as well nationally as you have, we just thought it would be appropriate to come here and be recognized for your achievement. We believe that what we invest in our young people and expect of our young people, they'll step up and make it happen. So, wanted to give you a chance to come here and just say something about what you're doing, how you're doing, and what your next plans are.
Well, thank you guys for having me and for this opportunity. I can say that ever since the award ceremony and receiving my medal, it's really given me a greater appreciation for the gift that I've been given. Not to say that I've ever taken it for granted, but from now on, like, I really am focusing a lot more on the gift that I've been given and using it for the future. Because I always said what school I wanted to go to, it was just any school that gave me an education. But now, after receiving the medal, I'm starting to think, well, maybe I should go into a music school, since that seems to be what I'm very good at and what I'm very passionate about. So it would only make sense for me to follow my passion rather than settling for what's just available to me. So I can just say that the experience was amazing, even without the medal, just to be able to be surrounded by so many successful people that are so much like me and to be appreciated, and all of those things really made the whole thing worthwhile.
You're incredibly well spoken too, so I'm not sure if that means if that means a career in politics or policy or broadcasting or as a trial lawyer. I'm not sure what. But it was important to bring you here. Just we know that all of our young people have incredible gifts, and it's our job to help you find those gifts. And once you find them, it's your job to go do something special with it. So we wanted to come have you here just to say congratulations, and we support you. We believe in you. We expect very, very, very great things from you in the future. Okay? Is it okay if you take a point of privilege to take a photograph? And everyone doesn't have to get up. I know y'all get tired of me getting you up, everything, but this is our future. Come on, young lady. Let's do it. All right?
I know.
All right,
Mr.
thank
Mayor, item 36, another bright spot in our evening with arts, Laura Spong Day Proclamation, the Honorable Mayor Stephen K. Benjamin.
A proclamation. And I tell you what, we're gonna have to start working on the size of the point size of the proclamations. I do not have my reading glasses today. Whereas artist Laura Spong has been a resident of the City of Columbia for nearly 70 years, and whereas her artistic career has spanned over 60 years, starting with classes with Jay Barden and Gil Petroff at the Columbia Museum of Art, and whereas she is considered one of South Carolina's most prominent contemporary painters, and whereas Ms. Spong has had several exhibitions across the state of South Carolina and throughout the Southeast, and whereas her art has been acquired by the South Carolina State Art Collection, the South Carolina State Museum, and the Greenville County Museum of Art, and whereas she has been recognized with numerous career awards, including recognition by the Columbia Artists Guild and as the 2017 Elizabeth O'Neill Verner Governor's Award for the Arts for Lifetime Achievement, the highest award to an artist in our state, I might add. And whereas artists and creative professionals are a fundamental aspect to the vibrant cultural community in our city, and whereas a vibrant cultural community is an integral part to a strong and livable city, now therefore I, Stephen K. Benjamin, Mayor of the City of Columbia, along with my fellow members of Columbia City Council, do hereby proclaim September 5th, 2017 as Laura Spong Day in the great city of Columbia, and urge our fellow citizens to recognize and participate in its observance. Ms. Spong? It's a wonderful honor to have a chance to recognize you.
Thank you, and I appreciate the honor that you all have given me, and I welcome this opportunity to say thank you to the mayor and the council for supporting that dream over on stormwater. I went down to the Vista when they first started, and when you came out our side door, there was a 10-foot drop to the railroad track. Right next door was a warehouse, and right across the street were 2 empty lots. So I thank you for following the vision and the courage of our last city council that started the Vista and to help us with stormwater.
Yes, ma'am.
And I'd like to also say Fred Delp, because he's the reason he really got it going.
Yes, ma'am. I did just want to note on our consent agenda vote, we did move forward with our agreement for professional services to complete the cultural plan, a new cultural plan for the city and the region as well. So thank you, Ms. Spahn, and all the wonderful artists for being here with us this evening. We would not be offended if you wanted to slip out a little early, okay? We know these meetings are exciting, they're better than anything you can find on Netflix, but we won't take offense to it, okay? All right, thank y'all. Madam City Manager.
At this time, Mayor Benjamin, we will recognize.
Oh, you have to leave the art. Eileen, the art has to stay. We can't afford it. I'm joking.
Diaper Need Awareness Week proclamation, Mr. Mayor.
You're gonna make you do it.
Ms. Devine.
And can adversely affect the health of infants, toddlers, and even their families. And whereas national surveys report that 1 in 3 mothers experience a need for diapers at some time when their children are less than 3 years of age, and 48% of families delay changing their child's diapers to extend their supply. And whereas the average infant or toddler requires at least 50 diaper changes per week over the course of 3 years. And whereas currently there are no government assistance programs for the purchase or provision of diapers. And whereas a monthly supply of diapers can cost as much as 60% of a full-time minimum wage worker's salary, obtaining a sufficient supply of diapers an economic hardship to families. And whereas the people of Columbia recognize that addressing the diaper need in our area can lead to economic opportunities for low-income families and lead to improved health for our youth and their families. Whereas the City of Columbia is proud to be home to various community organizations that raise awareness and recognize the importance of helping families in our community obtain the diapers they need and helping achieve economic stability. Now, therefore, Mayor Stephen K. Benjamin, Mayor of the City of Columbia, along with all the members of Columbia City Council, do hereby proclaim the week of September 25th through October 1st as Diaper Need Awareness Week in the great city of Columbia, and we urge all of our citizens to recognize and participate in its observance.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you. No one's here to accept this, is there? You are. Okay, please, come on up. Got a precious princess to boot. Hello.
My name is Ayana White, and I'm the executive director. That's right, McDowell, but I'm the executive director of Power and Changing. We are a community diaper bank. We were incorporated or started in 2015 out of the need from the flood. We helped about 500 families just out of that need, but as we grew, we noticed that the diaper need in South Carolina or in Columbia was great. As you stated in the proclamation, you are correct. There are no social assistant programs, government or locally state-run, that help with any type of diaper need. And the statistics are 1 in 3 families face diaper need. They leave their children or a child in a diaper for longer periods of time than necessary, and it can cause stress, sometimes lead to abuse. So what we are here and geared for is just to solve that basic need, provide diapers for emergency help, provide families with some type of structure. We do parenting classes, so we really do appreciate you guys giving us the recognition and Diaper Need Awareness Week.
Well, thank you, and obviously, thank you. There were a lot of wonderful things, as odd as it might sound, birthed out of the Great Floods of 2015, and to see you recognizing this as an ongoing need for the community and sustaining those efforts is so important. Hey, Precious, that's a beautiful smile. All right, so.
Yes, thank you.
Item 38, Mr. Mayor, the Kinship Care Month proclamation.
All right. Whereas South Carolina is steadfast in its commitment to promote the safety and well-being of our children, including providing a loving, stable, nurturing home for all youth in which they can be nurtured, succeed, and thrive. And whereas relationships with family are crucial for children, and it's our responsibility to promote and preserve kinship, sibling, and other familial connections for children, helping them retain their cultural heritage, family, and community ties while preserving their safety and protecting them from abuse and neglect. Whereas more than 57,000 children throughout our state are raised in grandparent-headed households and other kinship families where no parent is present, including being cared for by aunts, uncles, other extended family members and relatives, close family friends, or fictive kin, such as godparents or other non-related adults. And whereas kinship caregivers have stepped forward out of love and loyalty, taking on primary responsibility for the care of these children, providing them with connection, security, positive identity, belonging, and higher levels of permanency. And whereas kinship families residing all across South Carolina often face daunting challenges, therefore partnerships among the education, legal, social services, mental health, justice, child welfare, medical, and other systems are important to ensure access to services that can enable kinship youth to flourish in all facets of their lives. And whereas Kinship Care Month provides an opportunity to honor kinship caregivers and lift up the accomplishments of countless youth throughout our state who, with the support of kinship caregivers, have successfully navigated trauma and parental separation. Whereas all South Carolinians are encouraged to raise their awareness and understanding of the positive family environment that kinship families offer many children. Now, therefore, I, Stephen K. Benjamin, Mayor of the City of Columbia, along with my fellow members of Columbia City Council, do hereby proclaim September 2017 to be Kinship Care Month in the City of Columbia and urge our fellow citizens to recognize and participate in its observance. Please, thank you. Come on, buddy, come on. We miss seeing you, Aaron. How are you? Good to see you. All right.
And my old college buddy here. Thank you for doing this recognition for us. Like you said, there are quite a number of kids in South Carolina being cared for by grandparents, aunts and uncles, cousins, and other family members. So we wanted to take this opportunity and recognize them for what is incredibly hard work. So it is a financial burden. It's also just difficult as a grandparent to have raised your own children, and then now you're going to raise the next generation. So we're very excited that this month we can honor them, and next week we will have kinship care summits in Columbia, Charleston, and Greenville. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks.
Item 39, supporting the goals of Solarize South Carolina Day proclamation, the Honorable Mayor Stephen K. Benjamin.
And for those of you who are counting, this is our last proclamation of the day, okay? So, but I am excited to issue a proclamation on behalf of the city supporting the goals of Solarize South Carolina. Whereas the City of Columbia is a recognized leader in sustainability practices in South Carolina and seeks to engage in new energy-saving measures, such as generating electricity with photovoltaic cells. And whereas the City of Columbia's sustainability efforts include establishing the Climate Protection Action Campaign, being a part of the U.S. Conference of Mayors Climate Action Plan, pledging to be 100% renewable by 2035, and encouraging the community to live more sustainably. And whereas solar energy is good for the environment, contributes to a reduction in greenhouse gas emissions, and promotes energy independence. And whereas generating electricity from solar energy can save City of Columbia businesses and homeowners money on the utility bills and can help control future energy costs. And whereas solar energy creates opportunities for economic development and job creation, whereas Smart Power is a not-for-profit entity that continues to promote Solarize South Carolina through local businesses and sustainability partners, and online through We Green, to encourage more residential and small commercial solar electric installations and energy efficiency measures, to reduce energy use, to improve the environment, and to create jobs by increasing the use of solar technologies. And whereas the City of Columbia will designate a person to continue to coordinate communications and outreach activities with Smart Power, and therefore I, Stephen K. Benjamin, Mayor of the City of Columbia, along with my fellow members of the City Council, do hereby proclaim September 5th to be supporting the goals of Solarized South Carolina Day in the City of Columbia. And we urge our fellow citizens to recognize and participate in its observance. Sarah, I want to make sure you come and receive this and just say thank you. All the work that we've been doing, you've been supporting the efforts of Mary Pat and our entire team on just making sure that we continue to try and outkick our coverage, really establish a footprint in the South and across the country as a place where clean and renewable energy can be successful. Please.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor Benjamin and Council, for supporting this. I think it's been a great program here in Columbia over the past couple of years. This last weekend proven, we definitely have enough sun here in South Carolina to be taking advantage of that. And, you know, the sun shines every day, whether we have clouds or not. We can definitely take advantage of that. And the Solarize Columbia campaign is all about just education and empowering residents to be educated and know about solar energy and make the best decision for their homes. So thank you for your support.
Item 40, the annual cross-cultural conference. Mr. James Starnes, President of the Action Council for the Cross-Cultural Mental Health and Human Services, Inc.
Good evening.
Hey, how are you?
Mr. Mayor and ladies and gentlemen of council, I thank you very much for this opportunity. I'm James Starnes, President of the Action Council for Cross-Cultural Mental Health and Human Services. We are preparing for our 40th annual cross-cultural conference, which will be held in Myrtle Beach, February 15th through the 18th of 2018. This organization was founded to provide training for primarily social workers, and it has grown now so that we have provided thousands of hours of training to social workers and nurses, counselors. We have a track for the faith community, just a lot of training that focuses on ensuring that services are provided in a culturally competent manner. In an effort to celebrate and to pave the way for that 40th annual conference, we are hosting a gala here in Columbia at the Convention Center featuring renowned jazz artist Wycliffe Gordon. At this time, we will be honoring Palmetto Health for the many works it does in our community. Where would we be without a hospital, guys? And I won't bore you with all of the things that the hospital does, as I'm sure you are aware, but it is my pleasure to introduce a social work legend, a transplant from New York who has become a Columbia legend, who can talk about why this gala is such a coup for Columbia, Miss Marjorie Hammock.
Wycliffe Gordon, good afternoon, good evening, excuse me. Jazz is my absolute passion, and we are growing a a significant jazz community in Columbia, not only in terms of artists who are well-renowned, but our local folks. We are growing a group of people who play. To have Wycliffe Gordon in this city is incredible. He is internationally known. He leads excursions on jazz cruises, which I attend. He is a remarkable person, and we'd like your support and the support of the community for this endeavor and an opportunity to hear him. We will be doing some more promotion, but we'd like your support, and we thank you for listening to us. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We need to fill that convention center, and anything that you can do to help us accomplish that, we'd be very grateful. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Starnes, and thank you for bringing the big dogs with you, too. We appreciate it. All right. Thank you, Dr. Hammock. All right.
Little birdie told me that it's Mr. Starnes' birthday, Mr. Mayor.
Happy birthday, Mr. Starnes. Happy birthday.
Moving into a sidewalk vending public hearing, Mr. Mayor, an ordinance first reading, item 41, ordinance number 2017-067, granting a franchise to Mark 836 LLC DBA Chick-fil-A at 5 Points for operation of a stationary sidewalk vending cart at the northeast corner of Main Street and Lady Street.
I'm not sure how many folks may have wanted to sign up to speak on this item, but there's a sheet to be signed up, so if you haven't signed up, I just want to make sure there's a process. I have one of them, but I only have 3 folks, so which is just fine with me, I might add. Madam Clerk, go over the rules.
So each speaker will be allotted 3 minutes. There's a timer next to the podium. The first beep is the alert that you have 30 seconds remaining, and there'll be a final beep, and we ask that you be seated at that time.
So is anyone speak in favor of this? And again, I have this is ordinance 2017-67, item 41 on this agenda. If not, then I'm going to go ahead and go down the list of those who signed up. Mr. John Thrash, please.
He's trying to sign up, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. I'm just going to go down the list, and so then we'll move up. If he wants to sign up, please, Mr. Thrash.
Yes,
The
Honorable
floor is
Mayor,
yours.
Pro-Mayor, and Councilman, thank you for this opportunity to speak on behalf of the vendor cart on Main Street in Lady. I'm the owner and operator with my son of Pita Pit in 5 Points, and we chose to move up to a second location on Main Street about a year ago. Between the owner and I, we've invested about $500,000 in a building and new structure inside and upgrading to be here on Main Street. The city and the council and the mayor has done a great job of bringing Main Street to life. It's a new place from what it was 5 or 7 years ago, and we felt we wanted to be a part of it. I too could have chose to put a cart on Main Street and operate without the big investment of the $500,000 that the owner and I put in, but I felt that the venue and everything that was going on Main Street was to build business, to bring business to the city, to bring business on Main Street. The vendor carts are a great thing, and I think for a small entrepreneur trying to grow a little business or introducing a new product to a city or doing something unique is what a vendor cart is for. I don't know when the vendor cart rules and regulations were written, and maybe they were done a long time ago, but I believe that it would be an opportunity for the city to look back and consider that vendor carts, as it's written today, if it's going to continue as it is, in 10 years I should not renew my lease. I should operate out of 5 Points, bring my sandwiches to Main Street and sell them as everyone else. My other concerns for the city is with vendor carts as it's written today apparently is Taco Bell, Burger King, Wendy's, McDonald's, all set up carts and compete with all the vendors that are Main Street trying to create an image and an environment that people can come to and enjoy. It's a great city, it's a great venue down there, and again, I can reiterate, but thank you for the opportunity to speak to you on behalf of this.
Thank you, Mr. Thrash.
Thank you.
Mr. Matthew Bridges.
Mayor Benjamin, Council, Thank you for this time. My name is Matthew Bridges. I'm co-owner of Drake's Duck Inn and 1544 Main Street. My reason for speaking tonight is my opposition to granting a street vendor's license to Chick-fil-A. I believe granting a street vendor license to a national chain subverts the purpose of this license. My interpretation of a street vendor license is that it is intended for a hot dog stand or small specialty food stand, not to supply backdoor access for a national chain to increase revenue with little to no investment in the district. It is very clear to me why Chick-fil-A would want to be a part of the Main Street District. It's through the actions of this council, the efforts of the City Center Partnership, and the hard work and significant investment of existing business owners and building owners that this district has become a prime destination for people to work, live, and also play. Chick-fil-A wants to capitalize on the favorable environment that we have all fostered. If Chick-fil-A truly wants to be a part of the district, they should buy or lease a building, build a kitchen, pay employees, and most importantly, contribute to taxes in that district. Thank you for granting me this time, and I hope you'll join me in opposition of granting this license.
Thank you, Mr. Bridges. I believe it's David Levine, and we have the prerogative to correct me if I pronounce that wrong. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor and council members. My name is David Levine. This is my fiancee, Beverly Shreve. We are the owners and operators of Stoner's Pizza Joint, which will be located at 1332 Main Street in the arcade. And we have just moved to Columbia. We're very excited to be part of the community. And we sold our pizza franchise in Pooler, Georgia, to move up here. And we looked at many locations when we were trying to find a building in an area we wanted to be in. And we decided that the Main Street was going to be the area we wanted because of the traffic, the historic buildings, and the revitalization that's going on. But we were hesitant to pay the price that we had to for renting that building. But we sat down and decided that we wanted to join the Columbia and be a part of everything that's going on here. So we went full in for it, and we were approached by other restaurant owners telling us about the Chick-fil-A sidewalk vending that they wanted to do there. And although we're not opposed to the different areas that are in there or the different restaurants and the competition, which we welcome, we're just concerned that, we're paying the amount we are, and they're not going to be paying for a spot that they're leasing, and, we don't feel that should be part of the deal with the Columbia area.
Hi. Oh, no, I'm not. Thank you very much for allowing us to come in. But like he said, we did come here and we researched a lot of areas. My family actually started Stoner's. There is now 23 locations. We are coming into the Columbia market. We plan on opening up several stores in this area, and we decided in the downtown district. And we chose it for several reasons. We love the idea of the revitalization. We spent many a months coming up here, sitting outside, eating at many of the establishments here, and it helped us decide where we were going to put our first store. And we want to be a part of this, but we also, like he said, we welcome competition. Everybody gets a piece of the pie. It's pie pizza, but everybody does. They get a piece of the pie. But we want it to be on, hey, we are paying a premium price. We're here, we're paying taxes, we're paying employees. We have to be able to pay them. Someone being able to come in and have a small vending, but yet have not the rent and take away that 20, 30, 40 customers from me. I have an issue with that. So in your consideration, I just ask that you take that into your consideration in making your vote.
Thank you.
Thanks for welcoming us to Columbia. It's
Thank
been
y'all.
great so far.
You're most welcome. Thank you.
Welcome.
All right. Mr. James Bennett.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Thank you for allowing me to speak. I am the franchise owner of Chick-fil-A 5 Points, and originally I was not going to speak, but there's a lot of information out there of what I'm trying to do. This is not a corporate play where Chick-fil-A Inc. from Atlanta is trying to come in and make money. I am the franchise owner of Chick-fil-A 5 Points, which is right there in 5 Points, obviously. I employ 120 employees. I pay my taxes. This was an opportunity where I had guests saying that we can't come to your restaurant because we can't get in, and talking about Chick-fil-A and Main Street. The only reason it moved was because it couldn't be supported with a drive-through, and drive-through is 60% of my business. So I just wanted to be clear that it's not someone, Chick-fil-A, the corporation from Atlanta, Georgia, coming. This is totally different. I'm the franchise owner. I live here. My daughter went to Dreer, and I actually employ and pay taxes here, and I've been here for 3 years now. So some of the concerns that I'm not making an investment are just, untrue. I think that if you look at everything I've done in the community, the donations and generosity, that's not corporate, that's me as the franchise owner of Chick-fil-A 5 Points. So I just wanted to take a minute to clarify that it's not this corporate entity from Atlanta, Georgia coming in trying to make money. This is an opportunity for us to continue to grow. One of the goals I have is to hire another 120 employees. We just started things such as 401k plans for every single team member and family, and a profit sharing for every single person. So when people say that they are okay with competition, I'm okay with competition too. And I am in the community, and I am trying to create jobs for people that live right here in Columbia.
Thank you, Mr. Bennett. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Chick-fil-A corporate. This is his business, his franchise. It's not the Cathy family. All right. Ms. Rachel Anderson.
Thanks for allowing me to speak, for seeing us this evening. I also was not going to speak. Sorry, public speaking is not my strength, but I feel strongly about this. I just wanted to reiterate what James has said about employing 120 employees, and we all now have 401k option. I'm sorry, let me introduce myself. I'm Rachel Anderson. I do sales and marketing for Mr. Bennett at his store. We now have 401k opportunities and financial advising provided to us by Mr. Bennett. All of his employees have the option to have health insurance. He's the only Chick-fil-A who's doing that. I strongly believe in his vision. I love where he's going, and part of his vision, includes hiring more people. As he said, I wrote everything down. He kind of already said it, but I just want to reiterate that it's not a corporation, it's an individual who does pay his taxes and has employees who also, like myself, believe in him and believe in his goals. And so that's why I'm here to support. I'm speaking in favor of this.
And you did just fine. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. I see Kelly. I'm not sure I can make up the first name. Marion Kelly? Thank you.
How are you all? First of all, I want to say how wonderful the Eclipse event was for those of us who are in residence in downtown Columbia. I live at 1546 Main Street, so I did want to speak to this issue of having a food truck from Chick-fil-A on Main Street. I'm a member of the Downtown Residents Association, and there isn't a person I've spoken to that's a resident down here that is in favor of it. And I got pats on the back to come and say to y'all tonight, don't do it. And it is about whether or not we have this camel's nose under the tent, and next week we have McDonald's, franchisee or not, Burger King. Where does it stop? The other thing is that I'm a dog walker. I'm the little old lady with the little black dog walking up and down Main Street 4 times a day. And I'll just say, the particular location that is specified for this is a very poor choice. And so with that, I thank you all for hearing me out and look forward to what your decision is and your deliberations. And I know you'll do the best for all of us.
Thank you, Ms. Kelly. Thank you. Jeremy Beecraft.
How y'all doing? Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council, for allowing us to come here and speak on the situation. My name is Jeremy Beecraft. I'm the General Manager of the Mass General Store located on Main Street. First, I'm going to say I love a Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich. It's a great sandwich. Second, I'm absolutely opposed to Chick-fil-A having a cart set up here on Main Street. One of the things, a few years ago, 2011, when Mass General Store opened up on Main Street, there was hardly any restaurants located on Main Street. There was a lot of restaurants. They were open Monday through Friday. They were open from 11 to 3, and that's about the amount of investment that we've seen. Since that time, we've seen a lot of restaurants make some investment on Main Street. And I really think that we need, and I hope that the council will stick up for those people that have actually made an investment into Main Street. I've heard a lot of great things, and the people from Chick-fil-A have mentioned about the amount of employees that they hire and the 401k and all this stuff, and that is awesome. That is great. But what I'm concerned about is that their actual investment into the Main Street district. And that's not what I'm getting anything here from what they've said today. You've heard a couple, people, especially new people with new businesses that have come to Main Street and they've made a lot of investment. Quite honestly, it's not fair to them that they're making this investment and then Chick-fil-A can come in here. I don't think that Kirkman Finley in 5 Points would be very happy if Phil Blair from the WIG came down and started selling the WIG burger in front of Paulie's front porch. I think that would probably go over well, and you guys would probably be hearing from him if you did. Or if I were to go down to the Vista and start selling Patagonia t-shirts and stuff like that in front of the Backpacker, don't think that would go over very well. If Chick-fil-A wants to come and invest in the Main Street district, that's awesome. Come join a lot of us that have done that and have invested into the Main Street district. But if it's going to be, I'm pretty sure that he's doing pretty well over there in 5 Points. But I think that we really need to stick up to those people that have invested. Chad at Cantina 76, which would have a dramatic impact directly across from his business. He's invested in this. You've heard from the people from the Pita Pit, Stromer's Pizza. I think that's who we need to be supporting. Not against food carts in the Main Street district, but a big national kind of chain like this. I understand that it's a franchise, but it's not the little guy. And I really hope that as you guys evaluate this, listen to the people that are investing into the Main Street district and definitely take their concerns into considerations when you make your vote. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jeremy. Martha Fowler. Good evening.
Thank you for having us. Thank you for all that you do. Thank you so much for what you did for the eclipse. It was amazing. Thank you so much for what you're doing for Main Street. It's amazing. As all of y'all know, I'm a property owner in 4 storefronts on Main Street. We're making a huge investment in Main Street. The 1600 block looks nothing like it did 5 years ago. It's because of that investment. I eat Chick-fil-A all the time. When I'm in my car, I'm always driving through Chick-fil-A. Main Street has a different feel, a different character. It's lots of small businesses, it's lots of locally owned, locally operated character things that just make you feel different about being on Main Street. What we do at Soda City Market is amazing. We're doing some fabulous things. But as a founding member of City Center Partnership, somebody that's going to come in and not bring a food cart, bring a table, put a tent out, and not be paying taxes into City Center Partnership, you need to be a part of the entire community. And I just don't think Chick-fil-A is the answer. If he was a mom and pop, something or other cool, and had a real cart, that would be one thing. But I really think that we need to think about this and the character of Main Street. I also would like for us to think about the designated spots that we have for carts now. And I have a feeling that they have been determined longer ago than the growth that we've had recently. I'd like for us to think about it and do it with great thought. Thank you so much for listening. I ask that you deny this request. Thank you.
Chris Zuris? Is that right? Yes, sir. Okay.
I'd like to thank the council for hearing me today. Thank everybody for showing up. I'm here to speak about the Chick-fil-A issue. I'd like to address a couple points that the gentleman, the franchisee, I'm sorry I didn't catch your name, made. Primarily, the issue with traffic. The Chick-fil-A in 5 Points and the one on Bush River, I go to both of them. Great chicken sandwich, can't fault them there. But traffic's an issue, obviously, and he said that opening a location on Main Street would help alleviate some 5 Points traffic, but I don't think that takes into consideration the amount of traffic that's on Main Street. And if you look at the amount of lunches sold as a zero-sum game, obviously Chick-fil-A bringing in a stand is going to skim some meals that would otherwise be sold from some of the vendors who've been on Main Street since before the revitalization really took foot. You know, and I don't know if the council's aware of this. I did a little homework today when I went to go get lunch. There are 6 open retail locations on the block of Lady and Main alone, 2 of which are across the street from where this proposed cart would go. And I don't know if anybody else remembers, but there was a Chick-fil-A, coincidentally, in the Cantina building before Cantina opened. I guess it's been 6 or 7 years ago. Doesn't seem like that long ago that Main Street was dead and there was nothing really going on. And it's kind of funny now that people who left before want to come back now that Main Street has been revitalized and there's obviously some opportunity to be had. I would implore that the city, the council does not approve their food cart or any other food carts until the majority of these vacant locations have been occupied.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Jonathan Bornberger? Is that good enough? Is that close? All right. I'll blame it on your penmanship. How about that?
Fair enough. I'm Jonathan Bonnebrier. Obviously, I also work for James Bennett at the Chick-fil-A in 5 Points. I've actually been one of the main people spearheading this project, and I'm going to try not to beat a dead horse and go on to explain the different people we employ and the different opportunities that we give to them. But rather, I'd like to emphasize on the main reason we want to come to Main Street. A lot of people have noted on the topic that there used to be a Chick-fil-A here, and that we pulled out, and now there's money to be made that we want back in. As most of you know, Chick-fil-A is a people company that just happens to sell chicken. That's one of the quotes from Truett Cathy, and that's one of the quotes that I've held true to my whole career at Chick-fil-A so far. We aren't looking to come back to Main Street just to make profits and then leave. We are listening to the guests that come to our restaurant daily for dinner or for breakfast that say they really wish that they could get a Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich for their lunch, but they only have a 30-minute lunch break, and it takes 10 minutes to get to our restaurant, 10 minutes to get back, and our line takes a lot longer than 10 minutes to get through during our lunch hour. We aren't looking to just make money here. We're looking to serve people good food at a good price, and we want to serve all those businesses like PwC that are right on Main Street to get them some lunch for a reasonable price with a reasonable wait. Thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan. Bonberger. All right. No one else has signed up to speak. All right, so I think we're at conclusion. Any comments, staff? Mr. Duval?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion, and if that motion is successful, make a second motion.
All right.
This issue of the Chick-fil-A on Main Street has been bubbling up for a couple of months now, and so I've had time to do a little research. The section of our code where the sidewalk vending is found is in the business license in section 11-251. And when I downloaded that and read it, it is very specific about carts and vending and how that is accomplished on Main Street. For instance, it says a cart means any portable vending device, push cart, or other wheeled vehicle or device which may be moved without the assistance of a motor and which is not required to be licensed and registered by the Department of Motor Vehicles, used for the displaying, storing, or transporting of articles offered for sale by a vendor, which does not exceed 4 feet in width, 6 feet in length, and 5 feet in height, excluding canopy or cover. And then under the definition of vendor, it says vendor means a person engaged in selling or offering for sale food, beverages, or merchandise on the public streets or sidewalks from a cart. And further, I read on down and it said permitted merchandise. This one is pretty specific. No merchandise shall be sold by a vendor from a cart in a vending district except the merchandise approved for the specific location of the cart. Permitted merchandise shall be limited to hot dogs, sausages, hamburgers, tacos, burritos, baked potatoes, bagels, pastries, candy, prepackaged sandwiches, chips, biscuits, popcorn, nuts, pretzels, ice products or ice cream, milk products, frozen yogurt, hot or cold beverages containing no alcohol, flowers, and items related to permitted merchandise. Doesn't say chicken. Although I would give you that probably sandwiches, prepackaged sandwiches, might include a chicken sandwich. It doesn't say. And those waffle chips.
Why didn't you just read that section?
It just says chips. Doesn't say anything about waffle chips. So I think there is enough question about whether the application, which does talk about a 5-by-5 easy up table set inside a tent to hold a register. Food is cooked at the store and transported in a temperature management system. Everything is powered by an electric generator, so you can have an electric generator right there too. That does not meet the definition of cart. So I think that I would make the motion that we deny this franchise. And then I'd like to make, if that is successful, I'd like to make a second motion.
Was there a second?
Second.
There's a discussion. With the previous question, clerk call a roll.
Mr. Mayor,
Please, Mr. Rickenman.
you know, I've listened to everybody
I think
here.
your microphone's on, Daniel. Oh,
It's
there you
on.
go. All right.
And I've listened to everybody. I think one of the things that cautions me in this discussion is that this ordinance has been here. Those locations have been picked out. We're deciding now that we don't want a national chain to be involved, which concerns me because where does that line draw? Is the next time that if somebody wants to go to the location, is it because they're serving tacos, which we had this discussion on Main Street already once in our lifetime about, and where does that go to the next ordinance? What you're going to hear tonight is that we're moving forward the vote to reduce it, and what Mr. Duvall has read to you is the ordinance, but we don't enforce that equally. And so I'm struggling here because I hear the plight of the folks who've made investments there. I also hear a franchisee who wants to deliver what his customers want. He's filed an application, which is allowed. Nowhere in there does it restrict who it is. So now we're picking winners and losers in this conversation. So I'm a little concerned about the where we're headed with this, because what's next? Do we then now pick in the future that nobody else can go to Main Street? You know, because they're a different type of vendor or they don't fit in. I'd love to fill all those spaces that the gentleman mentioned earlier. I think that's great. You know, we have a great investment from a lot of people, but where do we draw the line? This person followed the letter of the law. He made an application. If we want to deny that application flat out because of what Mr. Duvall described in his application, then we need to go see the 2 other vendors who are on Main Street who don't follow those laws as well. I just want to make sure that when we're moving forward that we're giving everybody an opportunity, but we're applying the law equally. And I'm conflicted here because I do believe that you want people to have an opportunity to grow. You want people to be competitive, but at the same time, I get the nature of the discussion that everybody's concerned about. So which way do you go? Where do we draw the line in this? Are we changing ordinances down the road to prohibit somebody else from coming and making an investment or giving back to our community? You know, I hear a lot about investment, but I have to tell you, I have to thank Mr. Bennett for all the donations during the flood. It was a big help to the people who needed it when I was standing there next to him. So do I want to give him the benefit of the doubt that he did what he was supposed to do, which he did? If there's a technical problem with his application or something, you know, maybe that should have been addressed before today, but I'm struggling with it, I'll be honest with everybody, because I hear both sides of it, you know, and you know, I know that we helped some of those people on Main Street make the investment. They didn't do it all by themselves. Sure. We helped as well.
Thank you, Daniel. Thank you.
And
we've had, as you guys can probably surmise, we've had significant conversations about this just individually with several of the people in this room. Played a pretty mean game of phone tag with Mr. Bennett as well. I do want to encourage everyone, and then we're going to move forward unless there's some further comment. I'm going to try to frame up the conversations our colleagues have shared with me individually, that we are really thankful for the overall spirit of entrepreneurship. We heard from a bunch of entrepreneurs here today, all of whom are making significant investments in Columbia, and we're thankful for that. And I think it's important that we don't allow the perfect to be the enemy of the good. I mean, everyone's doing great, contributing to the whole of the city and our different entertainment districts, and that's something we want to see continue. My concerns I've expressed to several of you is that I'm not sure that this application is within the spirit of what we were trying to do, and whether that's technical or not. I think there may be some other aspects of the current ordinance that this application might not be consistent with. I understand Mr. Rickman's concern. I am thankful for Mr. Bennett's investment in 5 Points and also the investment that so many of you are making every single day in making the Central Business District a special place to be. I do think, and I think Mr. Duvall signaled he has a separate motion as well that we're going to be taking up to go back and really dig a little bit deeper as a subcommittee into this. And I know that John, Mr. Durst, and the others from our hospitality and retail association has agreed to help out as we kind of. It's good to be victims of our own success. I will also say this. I know that Mr. Bennett and others have made significant contributions to civic issues, not just since the flood, but so many other people in this room have as well, and we're thankful for that. Particularly tomorrow at 6 p.m., we're going to be loading a truck, y'all, from Southeastern Freight Lines that go to Houston. So we know how important that the role of a corporate citizen is, but it's good to be a victim again of our own successes, y'all. Things are going well. I do know that Chick-fil-A's decision to leave Main Street was not just a business play. I think there were some separate issues that played in there, and I think if they had the choice to be on Main Street again, they'd still be in Main Street. They'd be there, but that's neither here nor there. I think we need to focus on this specific application, and not just the technicality, but also whether or not this is within the spirit of what we've been trying to promote and produce on Main Street. And I want to move the previous question. Clerk, call a roll.
Mr. Rickman?
No.
Mr. McDowell?
No.
Mr. Duval?
Yes.
Ms. Devine?
I'm conflicted. On the basis of this application, and I'm not saying that Mr. Bennett can't correct his application and come back, I would vote no. I mean, aye.
Yes.
Mr. Davis? No. Mayor Benjamin?
Aye. You're correct. Motion fails for lack of majority.
Exactly. Yes, sir.
All right, Mr. Duval.
Since the motion failed, I will not make my second motion.
Can I?
May I?
I was going to.
May I?
Mr. McDowell.
Let me just say unequivocally, the issue with Chick-fil-A, great sandwich, great company in 5 Points. I'd like to rescind my vote to a yes.
All right. All right. Madam Clerk, you please call a roll.
On the same motion.
Same
First
motion.
Mr. Rickman?
No.
Mr. McDowell?
Yes.
Mr. Duval?
Yes.
Ms. Devine?
Yes.
Mr. Davis? No. Mayor Benjamin?
Yes. Please, absolutely. It's your prerogative.
The reason that's for the point of discussion was that it was felt that it was unfair to vote and disapprove this based on the question that was on the table. And while he made application, and that issue should have been settled prior to him filling out that application. And so therefore, the intent, and I thought everybody else was going to do it, but some folks backed out. We were going to not let that go through, because had it gone through, you would have been totally out of the picture. It would have failed, and we would have had an opportunity to go probably to committee to address the technicality that would have denied you your application.
But the intent.
That's the second motion.
Mr. Duval has the floor. Mr. Duval, would you make your motion?
To make it,
Well, I'll listen to his motion first. It might cover.
Right, and let's streamline this conversation. Mr. Duval.
the second motion Mr. Mayor, is I'd like to move that we send the ordinance, section 11-251 about sidewalk vending to the Economic Development Committee chaired by Mr. Davis to review the ordinance that was written in 2002 to update it to modern language, modern classifications of carts, and that while that review is taking place, that we do not issue any franchises until the ordinance is brought back to council.
Second.
And further discussion? I'm sorry. Discussion, Ms. Devine.
Well, and I thought that was going to be your motion. That is where I am. I agree with the comments that this is an old ordinance and was enacted before Main Street looked the way it is now. So I would like us to look at that. I would caution us to look at, to make a determination as to whether or not, because you are part of a chain or a franchise or a national company, that automatically prohibit you from being a part of sidewalk vending. If there is a location that's approved, if it is a good product, I think that certainly we need to look at giving everybody that opportunity. Plus, I would worry about some legal things as far as us making that foregone conclusion. So I don't want people to leave here thinking that you can't, this will enact legislation that say if you're a franchise that you can't be a part of it. But what I would say is that we've got to figure out a way to make sure that we're balancing the needs of the entire community and the growth of Main Street. And a part of the greatness of Main Street is the diversity. And so hopefully we can come back with an ordinance that addresses that and can get us to where we really need to be.
The motion gives us an opportunity to, for the committee to look at it
in a very clear, concise, and clarifying way what the new ordinance might include and includes as it relates to Chick-fil-A or any other business. It does not necessarily negate the whole notion that it's not going to happen, but it certainly gives economic development an opportunity to look at this in a very clear and precise way.
Mr. Davis? No. Okay. Bruce, question.
Mr. Rickman?
No, we were holding court from the back of the.
Mr. Rickman?
Aye.
Mr. McDowell?
Yes.
Mr. Duval?
Aye.
Mr. Vine?
Aye.
Mr. Davis?
Aye.
Mayor Benjamin?
Item 42, moving into a period of ordinances first reading that do not require a public hearing. Ordinance number 2017-075, granting a franchise to Trombino, otherwise known as Slider LLC.
Move approval.
Second.
Any discussion? With the previous question, clerk call the roll.
Mr. Rickman?
Aye.
Mr. McDowell?
Yes.
Mr. Duval?
Aye.
Mr. Vine?
Aye.
Mr. Davis?
Aye.
Mayor Benjamin?
With all, I'm going to vote no, but I'm going to step out for 43.
Item 43, ordinance number 2017-074, granting an encroachment to Wood Creek Development LLC for installation and maintenance of 2 brick walls, 2 brick columns, curbing, guttering, landscaping, and irrigation system, paving.
Is there a motion on 43?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been properly moved in second. Any discussion? Seeing none, if the clerk will read the roll.
Mr. Rickman?
Aye.
Mr. McDowell?
Yes.
Mr. Duval?
Aye.
Mr. Vine?
Aye.
Mr. Davis?
Ordinance
Ms. Wilson.
second, yes, sir.
May I just have a moment of personal privilege?
Of course.
We just passed under item number 42, Mike Trombino. Mike is going to be one of our newest business owners here in the city. Slider. Totally green. Yes, why don't you say a word to us? Totally green, electric cars. Very impressed with this young man and very impressed with the what he brings to our city. Michael, thanks for being here. I didn't ask you to say anything, but you walked up here automatically. I'm just kidding.
I figured you wanted
Go ahead
me
and
to
say a
say
word.
something.
Go ahead and say a word.
Well, thank you very much for having me. We look forward to bringing Slider to Columbia.
Can you tell us what Slider is?
Tell us what they,
It's a free electric on-demand ride service. So we operate in downtown areas and surrounding neighborhoods of select cities, and we use 100% electric vehicles to transport people around town via mobile app. So,
Excellent.
Thanks, Michael.
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Welcome to the city.
44, Ms. Wilson?
I'm sorry.
Annexation interim comprehensive plan map amendment. This is a second reading, an interim zoning map amendment for the 4.24 acres, 174 Riding Grove Road and 178 Riding Grove Road.
Is there a motion?
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, if the clerk will read the roll.
Mr. Rickman?
Aye.
Mr. McDowell?
Yes.
Mr. Duval?
Aye.
Mr. Vine?
Aye.
Mr. Davis?
Aye.
Item 45 is a staff report. Now, Mr. Mayor is coming back to join us. This staff report will be introduced by Ms. Missy Kaufman, Budget and Program Management Director, regarding the homeless services contracts, resolutions for the agreements that are on your agenda, items 46 through 49.
Good evening. I don't really have any presentation other than just letting you know that these agreements are on your agenda for tonight by resolution. These are for the period July through June. I did also want to point out a couple of things. One is that with us tonight, we also had the United Way new director. Ms. Sarah Fawcett is here in the audience tonight. She's joined United Way at the end of June at the retirement of Max. She's been in the community for a while. She's been with Eden's A-Band and very involved with United Way. The other service providers also are here. So with United Way, we have Jennifer Moore, Christine Connors from USC Supportive Housing. And of course, we also have our friends from Transitions here, Craig Curry.
Housing First.
Is also so, if you'll point out. But if you have any questions for them, otherwise, just making you aware that these are on your agenda for approval tonight.
No question.
Well, thank you. We're going to take these all up together and looking forward to spending some more time over this next year. Looking forward to refining and taking on both the charitable influence of homeless, the work that we all have to do together, and also the challenges that we're facing together. But thank you all for the work that you all do on behalf of some of the most vulnerable citizens of the city, vulnerable citizens of the city. All right, so thank you for what you do. All right, items, we're going to take this maybe en masse. Can we have several? All right. All right, motion to approve items 46, 47, 48, and 49. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, move the previous question. Clerk, call the roll.
Mr. Rickman?
Aye.
Mr. McDowell?
Yes.
Mr. Duval?
Aye.
Ms. Devine?
Aye.
Mr. Davis? Mayor Benjamin?
Aye. All right. Thank y'all. We'll spend some more QT together over the next several months, all right? I think our plans are to spend some time gearing up for the beginning of the year and taking a look at our relationships and making sure that, we continue to refine our efforts to make sure we meet the needs of the entire community. So thank y'all. All right? Prayers, Greg. All right? All right. All right. And we would not be offended if you left right now either, okay? All right? All right. Mr. Assistant City Manager?
Item 50, Mr. Mayor, resolution number R 2017-052, adopting a city street and city facilities naming policy.
All right, Mr. McDowell?
We ready?
Yeah, please.
I move the approval of this policy.
That's second.
Discussion, Ms. Devine.
Just a couple concerns I had. And I think I've raised these before, but we didn't really discuss them. The first one would be the designations should be limited to one council member per year. And my only concern about that is I think that typically all of us bring forward designations that maybe someone has brought to us or that we feel like someone should be honored. And nothing against the district members, but maybe a district member limited to one, but for at-large members, considering that we represent the entire city, I think it's a little limiting to limit us to one per year. So that would be one of my concerns. The other concern would be, and I raised this before, the designation to expire upon 10 years. And I know that it was discussed that there would be, it could be extended upon resolution. I guess the concern with that is if a council felt felt strongly that a designation needs to be made, and then 10 years the same council members are not here, and you might not have people who actually understand the history of the area, history of a community, whether or not that would expire, and we would maybe lose some designations. And well, I won't give any examples, but I can think of a couple that the people that we've designated streets for are entrenched in the community. They have a long history, and as more people come into the community, they might not recognize that. So that would be a second concern. And then my last concern was I understand the thought that the street would need a connection to the person, but it said lived or worked in the location requested, and I'm not opposed to live or worked, but I was thinking of a couple, like if someone has made a significant contribution in that community, They might not live there, they might not work under the traditional senses of worked, but whether or not we would construe worked meaning their community involvement in that community, or something. And then lastly, I did have this too. Lastly, we do have a couple that are not people, and this didn't really address that, so I didn't know if we were going to add. It said individuals or organizations, but if the organization, again, the organization doesn't, quote, live or work in the community, whether or not that would keep them out. So those were my concerns, and I think Howard and Ed did this. I don't know if you have any responses to those concerns, or if those are things that could be amended out.
Yes, Mr. Vine, we can, as a part of the Administrative Review Committee, we can buy into all of what you suggested and make that an amendment to our report. As you know, some months ago, we've sort of held off on this because of the nature of what we wanted to do in terms of renaming streets and facilities. I think initially, we came up with 3 names per district, per council person. Is that right, Erica? I think it was. So if we could very well, the Administrative Review Committee has not met. We met initially to talk through these issues, and of course, the suggestion made, we could very well make this a part of the amended policies for these committees, with the exception, I think, Tamika raised the issue of whether or not how many persons per council member could we honor, and the honors, of course, would be significant honors, as opposed to persons who you just honoring. They have to be significant
So you
honors.
don't say, this is a significant honor, but you or...
That's right.
That's not going to work.
I mean, gee whiz, we could do that. Everybody deserves an honor.
We could say that the at-large members had unlimited names, and the district only have one.
Oh, well, of course. So if, I'd be more than glad to convene the Administrative Review Committee again, but I certainly would hope that we could at least move to finality.
In 2 weeks. Okay. I'm fine with that.
You want to do it in 2 weeks?
Yes, sir.
What do you all want to do? You want to do it in 2 weeks?
That's fine. Yeah. Well,
is that going to
We
be?
add this to
get some
that,
time.
to that 19th meeting as a...
So if we could meet prior to the 19th and be ready to do this in finality on the 19th. Can we do that? Sure. All right.
And if Ms. Devine would give us...
You would write that up for us, send it to us?
Send the amendments and then, yeah.
Can we do that?
Yes, sir.
We will have a final report on the 19th. And of course, we will give each at-large member 10 names.
Extra tickets.
Be honored. Thank y'all. Thank you so much.
Y'all getting downright punchy. Let's get going. So one motion is withdrawn, and do we need a motion to recommit this to the committee? Or all right.
Well, does the committee need to meet, or I just submit to you guys? If it's going to come on the 19th agenda, then we can vote it up.
If you could do that, and if it's the pleasure of the other members of council, if you could do that, and we could meet on the 19th to sort of put this in some finality.
Okay.
51.
All right. I think we're good to go. All right. Item 51.
Resolution number R 2017-087, authorizing the city manager to execute a letter of intent between the City of Columbia and Jeannie M. Rubin for the purchase of 1231 Blanding Street in Richland County.
Move approval.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Move the previous question. Clerk, call the roll.
Mr. Rickman?
Aye.
Mr. McDowell? Mr. Duval?
Aye.
Ms. Devine?
Aye.
Mr. Davis?
Aye.
Mayor Benjamin?
Aye.
Moving into other matters, item 52, council is asked to approve the installation of additional street lighting on Eureka Street and the Highland Park neighborhood
Need a
as
motion?
requested by
moved.
traffic engineer.
Got a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Move the previous question. Clerk, call the roll.
Mr. Rickman,
Aye.
Mr. McDowell, Mr. Duval.
Aye.
Ms. Devine.
Aye.
Mr. Davis.
Aye.
Mayor Benjamin.
Aye.
Item 53, council is asked to approve a certificate of convenience and necessity as requested by the Business License Division, award to Mr. Matthew Koleski doing business as South Carolina Pedal Parlor LLC, located at 2077 Pavilion Tower Circle.
All right. Is there a motion?
Move approval.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? We'll move the previous question. The clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Rickman,
Aye.
Mr. McDowell, Mr. Duval.
Aye.
Ms. Devine.
Aye.
Mr. Davis.
Aye.
Mayor Benjamin.
Aye. Madam Clerk, please change my vote to item 42, reflecting the affirmative vote. All right. Ordinance
Yes, sir.
17-075. All right. All right. Item 54.
Yes, sir. Our council is asked to allocate up to $250,000 from the liquor rebate funds for eligible capital expenses for the Hyatt Park Improvement Project.
Second.
All right. Moved and seconded. Any discussion? We'll move the previous question. Clerk, call the roll.
Mr. Rickman,
Aye.
Mr. McDowell, Mr. Duval.
Aye.
Ms. Devine.
Aye.
Mr. Davis.
Aye.
Mayor Benjamin.
Aye.
Ms. Wilson, I just, because we talked about this in work session, I just want to note, since after we're doing this one, we did talk about, when we talked about that funding, to have a work session about the improvements to all the parks that we have a plan for, and make sure that we're addressing those. So I want to say that publicly and put that on our agenda to go ahead and do that work session as soon as we can.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Point of clarification, so Ms. Belton told me that we're actually reappointing and appointing two of individuals to BOZA, right? Is that correct? So
2 appointments and 1 reappointment.
so 3 applicants for three slots?
Correct.
Okay. So there'd be a motion to reappoint Charles Sally, to appoint Marcellus Primus, and also
Josh.
appoint Josh Speed.
So moved.
Second.
All right, any discussion? Move the previous question. Clerk, call the roll.
Mr. Rickman,
Aye.
Mr. McDowell, Mr. Duval.
Aye.
Ms. Devine.
Aye.
Mr. Davis.
Aye.
Mayor Benjamin.
Aye. I do want to make a point on both the Housing Authority and the Planning Commission. We do have 2 applicants who served and continue to serve quite dutifully, and it's in my interest and the desire to keep both of them on both of those respective boards. It might just be my opinion, but I've expressed that to my colleagues. Ms. Watson will be seeking reappointment to the Housing Authority Board, and as will Ms. Pickens. And I moved the appointment of Selena Pickens to a 2nd term, and Ms. Watson to a 3rd and final. That's another ordinance we need to go back and revisit. And it was Mr. Rickman's proposal many years ago, when we had some folks who were serving 10 terms on different boards and commissions, and it's something I know that Mr. Duval feels very strongly about. I do have a belief that in exceptional circumstances, we have people who are contributing heavily and providing great leadership to our boards and commissions. We need to have the latitude to make some exceptions, and how that's formalized prospectively, we need to take that up. And if it's in the interest of some of you to separate those, I can separate those nominations. So let's.
I want to separate them.
Let's move the reappointment of Selena Pickens. Is there a second?
Second.
All right. Any question? Move the previous question. Call the roll.
Mr. Rickman,
Aye.
Mr. McDowell, Mr. Duval.
Aye.
Ms. Devine.
Aye.
Mr. Davis.
Aye.
Mayor Benjamin.
Aye. I move the appointment of Bessie Watson, reappointment. Is there a second?
Point of order.
Yes, sir.
Our ordinance now says that we cannot serve more than 2 terms. I don't think that we can vote in violation of our own ordinance.
Is it an ordinance or a resolution?
It's an ordinance. It's an ordinance.
Well, I will hold that nomination until we can resolve that issue. I will be making a motion to go back and look at the existing ordinance, if it's an extension of terms or
Two-term limit.
considering the ordinance.
It would be a number of terms.
All right, so we're gonna hold that appointment for now.
Can I suggest that we re-advertise
I
that?
withdraw that motion. Reappointment, Ms. Watson will continue to serve until we deal with this issue. All right.
And let Ms. Belton re-advertise?
I'm sorry?
Let Ms. Belton re-advertise the Housing Authority?
When we're done with these, I'm going to make a motion that we look at the existing ordinance and take it back to committee, administrative committee for consideration. Yes, sir. Withdrawn. Well, actually, I'll make that motion at the appropriate time. Tree and Appearance Commission, are there nominations?
Yes, I'd like to nominate Randall Roberts. He is an engineer working with the Penny and would be valuable as the engineering slot on the Columbia Tree and Appearance Commission and their efforts for undergrounding utilities.
Is that one of the profession-specific appointees?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Is any other discussion? Not, is there a second?
Do we have those slots filled? That was something I forgot to ask earlier, and I apologize, because I know there's some specific slots for the tree.
This is the only slot that
Okay.
has not been filled.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, a second that nomination. Move the previous question. Clerk, call the roll.
Mr. Rickman?
Aye.
Mr. McDowell? Mr. Duval?
Aye.
Ms. Devine?
Aye.
Mr. Davis?
Aye.
Mayor Benjamin?
Aye. Parks and Rec Foundation, I move the appointment of Fred Monk.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Move the previous question. Clerk, call the roll.
Mr. Rickman?
Aye.
Mr. McDowell? Mr. Duval?
Aye.
Ms. Devine?
Aye.
Mr. Davis? Mayor Benjamin?
Aye. I'd ask council to also hold off on planning commission until we have the further larger discussion. Richland County Board of Assessment, move the appointment of Scott Lindenberg.
Second.
Any discussion? Move the previous question. Clerk, call the roll.
Mr. Rickman?
Aye.
Mr. McDowell? Mr. Duval?
Aye.
Ms. Devine?
Aye.
Mr. Davis?
Aye.
Mayor Benjamin?
Aye. Riverbanks Commission, move the appointment of Mike Velasco.
Second.
Moved and second. Any discussion? Move the previous question. Clerk, call the roll.
Mr. Rickman?
Aye.
Mr. McDowell? Mr. Duval?
Aye.
Ms. Devine?
Aye.
Mr. Davis? Mayor Benjamin?
Aye. Madam City Manager, do we have any items discussed at work session that need to be considered now? Wait for City Manager. I'll make a motion that we take up the issue of terms of appointment to city boards and commissions and term limits before the administrative, that's probably the proper committee, administrative, and, is it regulatory, or administrative policy committee?
Administrative policy.
Administrative policy committee. Is there a second? All right, moved by Mr. McDowell, seconded by Mr. Davis. Any discussion? Move the previous question, clerk call the roll.
Mr. Rickman?
Aye.
Mr. McDowell? Mr. Duval?
No.
Ms. Devine?
Aye.
Mr. Davis?
Aye.
Mayor Benjamin?
Aye. All right. Any matters discussed during work session, Madam City Manager, need to be taken up now?
No, sir, Mr. Mayor. I would seek clarification of Mr. Duval's motion regarding the, I guess, the review of sidewalk vending applications. Did you say a hold on those?
Yeah, moratorium on any new franchises under the sidewalk vending until we get a report back from the committee.
And he,
On
he
any
actually
new, so if there's one that's pending, it can go forward?
Is there one pending?
Yes, sir.
How pending is pending? Is it coming at next committee? Next council meeting?
How controversial.
Have we seen their application?
Do they want to sell chicken sandwiches?
No, they want to sell tacos.
Hot dogs.
How about
Good evening. There is one that has submitted an application today. It's the hot dog vendor on the corner of Main and Washington.
Is it a reapplication?
Yes,
A
renewal.
reapplication, a renewal.
I think if it's a renewal.
Renewal will be all right.
Who doesn't like hot dogs?
Uh,
I don't see us arguing over hot dogs.
We need to start opening in prayer and closing in prayer. How about that?
If they're compliant,
They've got to have a cart.
So
can't be-
They are in compliance with their existing license, am I right? The ordinance.
they have a cart, correct?
I would caution that there are some revisions that they would like to add.
How about I'm sorry?
There are some revisions to the new pending application that they would like to add for council's
Are
consideration.
they within the current ordinance?
It is not.
Then that's no issuance of franchises until the committee has reported back in the council's action.
Is his application required to be renewed in order to continue business at that
Yes.
site?
Yes.
Okay, well, we don't want to do that. So,
When does it expire?
How do you phrase that, Howard?
No new applications, but those that have an
That's
existing.
what I'm talking about. This is exactly what I was talking about. This is what I was worried about.
Will you make the motion? If they have an existing license, they can continue to operate under it until the committee reports back.
I would do that.
No, you can't do that. You'd
You
have
can't
to.
do that.
Can you?
You
can
denied
you
an application based on the ordinance and its reading, and that's what I was worried about. We're picking who we apply the law to, and that's wrong.
Mr. Rickenman, Mr. Duval, was your motion a moratorium on new applications, pending applications can be considered?
Yes.
All right, that's the clarification. Okay, pending applications can continue to run the gauntlet. I understand there's only one in the pipeline?
Yes, correct.
All right, and if it meets the measure of the existing ordinance, it will be considered. If it does not, then it will be declined. Let's keep going. All right?
Thank you.
Yeah.
This is the other side of having a parliamentarian on council with you. I think we have at least two up here. So,
I think-
are you married to one
I
of
think
that?
you've got to do it. I think it raises the issue with Daniel, because we're going to find ourselves in a quagmire. I think you've got to amend the motion that we just approved 30 minutes ago to include what you just said.
Felt like 3 hours ago.
Yeah, I think we've got to do that. So I move to append, not to append, but to amend. Oh, you've got to do that.
Yeah, move to amend the previously approved motion to allow for pending applications to be considered.
That's correct.
No, that was the motion that Mr. Duval used his ventriloquist voice to have Ms. Devine articulate.
Also
Is
move
that-
the
is that your
amendment,
motion?
Mr. Mayor.
All right. Moved by Mr. Duval, seconded by Mr. McDowell. We'll move to the previous question. Clerk, call a roll.
Mr. Rickerman?
Aye.
Mr. McDowell?
Yes.
Mr. Duval?
Aye.
Ms. Devine?
Aye.
Mr. Davis? Mayor Benjamin?
I believe so. Yes, ma'am. Aye. Ms. Devine, you have
Yes.
another motion?
I would like to refer to the Administrative and Policy Committee the consideration of limiting the number of road races that occur annually within a particular neighborhood, and requiring race organizers to notify the neighborhoods of any scheduled races. And I'm referring this to committee. I would like, at the time it goes to committee, police department, since they approve the permits, to be present, along with members of, or a representative from Strictly Running, and who else? Erica, but Strictly Running, and
University Hills.
well, we can let any of the neighborhoods know as well. And the reason I'm asking this, I had a request from a constituent who lives in a neighborhood that a lot of races are in, to raise the issue that it really hinders Saturday morning movement in the neighborhood. So I'd like it to be considered but we need all when it comes to the committee, all the people necessary to understand the process need to be there.
Okay. That's motion by Ms. Devine. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? We'll move to the previous question. The clerk will call a roll.
Mr. Rickman.
Aye.
Mr. McDowell.
Yes.
Mr. Duval.
Aye.
Mr. Vine.
Aye.
Mr. Davis.
Aye.
Mayor Benjamin.
Aye. I don't have any sheets, any other motions of referrals to committee? If none, we'll have a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Move to the previous question. Clerk call a roll.
Mr. Rickman.
Aye.
Mr. McDowell.
Yes.
Mr. Duval.
Aye.
Mr. Vine.
Aye.
Mr. Davis. Mayor Benjamin.
Aye.
Have a good evening.
Thank you all for your patience tonight.